This is no ordinary puppy. He's a Canine Companions for Independence assistance dog in the making. Born, raised, and trained to rise to any challenge. Partnered to give independence to a child, adult, or veteran with a disability, entirely free of charge. Learn how you can give independence and give a dog a job at cci.org.
So hello, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to Fire Breathing Rob. If you're listening to us on radio, podcast, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, thanks so much for listening. Greatly appreciate your time. Please pass this on, share, like, subscribe. Let's get these interviews out there with amazing people all around the country and even all around the world. So I thank you so much for listening. Today, we have someone that I just found out about her, but she's doing amazing work for Canine Companions for Independence, which is really close to my heart because they've done amazing things for my family, but also for a lot of people, children and adults around the country. So I thank her for being involved and working in that organization, but the organization in general. This is Caitlin Bradley. She is the volunteer coordinator at the Canine Companions for Independence Southeast region. So Caitlin, first of all, thanks so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate it today.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I'm excited to be here.
All right, great. Because we got a lot to kick around in a short amount of time. So we're going to kick this and start this off with this. First of all, Caitlin, for the people that haven't heard about Canine Companions, and there's hopefully a lot of people have because we've done quite a few interviews about Canine Companions for Independence with different people. Can you talk about what it is?
Absolutely. So Canine Companions, our mission simply is we provide service dogs to adults, children, and veterans with a disability. We provide a good handful of service dogs for, so service meaning they can open and close doors and drawers, turn on and off lights. We have the service dogs for minors, which we refer to as skilled companions, and those are for minors between the ages of 5 and 18, where the parent or legal guardian maybe the handler. We also have facility dogs, which work in courthouses, child advocacy centers, hospitals for rehabilitation, whatever that might be, a good handful of those. We also have the hearing dog program, which is very unique to the Southeast here where we are at, and then also in the Northwest region as well at our Santa Rosa headquarters. So the hearing dogs, they alert to everything from fire trucks to smoke alarms going off, even to cell phones ringing, even to their handler's name. So if you're at a local coffee shop and your name is called Rob, your coffee's ready, that your hearing dog would simply nudge you. They alert you with their nose with a little bump, and that depending on what they do, they might lay down, and that could mean that the fire alarm's going off, or they'll bring you to the object where maybe it's a timer, or obviously if someone's calling your name, like at that coffee shop, they'll just nudge you and kind of alert you to where that's coming from. So very unique and just life-changing. And then we also have our PTSD program as well for veterans, which again is in 2 different regions. So Northwest in our headquarters, and then also South Central. So those are the types of service dogs that we have that serve our clients.
This is Caitlin Bradley here on Fire Breathing Rob. Caitlin, as we keep going into the interview, I do want to go back into CCI in general. And we did talk, and you did kind of say the mission at the beginning, and we did talk about Canine Companions for Independence in general, but I want to go a little bit in depth. Can we talk about that dog's journey from when it's born?
Yeah, oh my goodness. It's quite a journey, I'll say that, of course. So out in Santa Rosa, where our national headquarters are, there's so much that goes on there. And that's even from before birth. So we have a group of scientists, if you will, that they track DNA. And we do work with other service dog organizations, such as Guide Dogs for the Blind, where sometimes we just need some more DNA in the pool. So, and there's a couple of other organizations that we work with that are all accredited. And this also goes with advocacy by Assistance Dogs International. So I definitely, I said throwing a little bit back to the advocacy piece. That's a great website to look up, Assistance Dogs International. Those are all accredited organizations, and just a wonderful resource. So we work with a good handful of organizations under that umbrella where, like I said, we do that DNA trading. And that's just, again, get more DNA in the pool. We're having basically 1,000 puppies born almost a year. Wow. So yeah, and we want to keep growing because obviously our list is growing. So we want to be able to provide those dogs, as fast as we can to these folks. So basically, we are able to track lineage, track everything, because we do keep in touch, as you know, Rob, with our graduates. So we keep in touch with them every year. Anytime they go to the vet, we have vet reports. Even we send out surveys for those dogs that are retired, but then also for those dogs that are released from the program that just don't quite make the cut for one reason or the other. We send out surveys even though they are, so to say, off our payroll. So just because we want to know, have they been diagnosed with a certain disease or disorder? Is there a behavior going on? Because we continue to track that outside. And that's just for the pure fact of breeding, because we want to have the highest success rate as possible. So when we are looking at our breeding pool, we are looking at that lineage, and was this dog's last litter, for example, released all because of hip dysplasia or something with the eyes, or was it a behavior thing? Do they have resource guarding? So all that goes into consideration, for our breeding program before the puppies are even born. So it's pretty incredible. Wow. So we have a wonderful base of volunteers out in Santa Rosa. They have to live within 90 miles of the campus there, also known as, we have another center on site. It's called the CEDC. I love that it's Canine Early Development Center, because that's where all the little puppies are. So, so when the puppies are born, they are born either in the breeder caretaker's home that live 90 miles from the center, or sometimes they are born if there's complications, or maybe if someone needs to travel and their dog is due to have the puppies in that certain week, then they can come and stay at the center. And there's someone there 24 hours a day, always. So basically the puppies are born and live in our breeder caretaker's home for the first 8 weeks. And yes, it is fun, but it's a job in itself. And again, this is volunteers that are doing this. It's amazing. And they are, in those first 8 weeks, it's so important. They are playing sounds on speakers, whether that's a dump truck backing up with the beeping noise, or loud crashing, thunderstorms. They're really, really just, getting those puppies ready at that young age. It's really cool. They're having them walk over different textures and materials. They have different toys, that we've asked them to have in their little playpens, just because, again, textures, sounds, it's amazing. And then right at that 8 weeks, they go to the CEDC there, and they are checked out by our veterinarians, and then they get on a plane and they fly out to their region where they're going to their next journey. So that will be in one of our 6 regions. So we have our commercial airlines, or we also have had our wonderful volunteer private pilots, which have stepped up in amazing ways in the last year, and they will fly out the puppies to the airport region, wherever they might be going. So, and then our amazing volunteer puppy raisers have those puppies from 8 weeks all the way until about 15 to 18 months maximum at a time. Where they are teaching those puppies their basic skills, everything from their name to sit to down to commands such as side, which is your right side, and sitting down next to you. They're teaching a little bit over 25 different commands, 25 to 30. And then at that 16 or 15 to 18 month threshold, then they turn into their regional center, and that's when they begin professional training. And they're there anywhere from 3 to 9 months. And that's where the trainers are fine-tuning the dogs, what they've been learning from their volunteer puppy raisers, but then also learning those really fun skills. So turning on and off the lights and opening and closing drawers. And they even sometimes will teach them something a little extra that might be fun for the graduate, depending on where that dog is going, facility, service. So it's a really, really incredible journey. So.
Right. No, I agree. It's incredible. The puppy raisers and the breeders really deserve a lot of credit.
And
Yeah.
something else with that too.
Sure.
So we have a couple different programs, like you mentioned, the college program, which is incredible. We have a lot of colleges around the nation that have this really, really unique puppy raising club. But then on the flip side, we also work specifically here in the Southeast. We partner with 3 different prison programs where a handful of the dogs are raised in a prison setting for the first 8-9 months of their lives. Well, 8 weeks to about 8-9 months. And that's all they do. They just train. And these dogs are, I mean, obviously all of our dogs are incredible, but the dogs that come out of this are absolutely amazing. And they have a very high success rate as well. Wow. So when we talk about passing the program, our success rate right now is about 55%. These dogs we can amp up. I don't know the latest, but I think it's 65 to 70% of the dogs that are raised in the prison program will pass. So it's really, really amazing. And then from after that 8-9 months period that they spend there, then they go with a puppy finisher where they're socialized. So puppy finisher will have them for a shorter amount of time. So they only have them for anywhere from 6 to 9 months, but they're bringing them to a mall and they're bringing them, to the outside world. So such a really cool program. Yeah.
So Caitlin, I want to go into this. We've heard and we've talked about puppy raising, whether it's in the prison program or whether it's just a regular person or a college student raising. How do you know if you're the right person to raise such a amazing creature as a CCI dog, that there's being so much money put into these dogs to really help and do amazing work for the people that they're going to be with for their lives?
Yeah, so I'd say if you're questioning, am I the right fit? I've never had a dog before. I've never, raised a puppy, or I've never had an animal. That's great, actually. Or I live in a studio apartment, or I live on 20 acres of land. We want them all, just because sometimes our puppy raisers that have, maybe you're 40 years old and you've never had an animal, those can make the best puppy raisers ever because you have no bias, right? So it's actually fantastic. And then those that live in maybe, like I said, that 400 square foot studio, that's just as great because you don't know where the dogs are going to go when they graduate. So possibly that's the graduate lives in a studio apartment, or maybe the graduate lives on a 20-acre farm. You don't know. So we want it more in all settings. So we have go back to the website on canine.org. There is a frequently asked questions section under our puppy raising tab, and there's some really great questions on there, but I always recommend reach out to your region. There's a puppy program manager for every region. So just call the number, ask to speak to somebody in the puppy program department, and they can answer all those questions that may not be on the website, but also connect with your volunteer coordinator in your region, and we can connect you with a chapter or a local group or just a singular volunteer that can really answer your questions. You can hear it from their perspective as well, getting involved with those fellow volunteers. So, we always need more puppy raisers. And yes, right, there's a longer wait list, but there's so many wonderful people to meet in between and things to get involved with. And possibly even maybe you can puppy sit someone that you meet in the chapter. So you can puppy sit for them as people are gearing up to go on vacation now. So yeah, lots of opportunities.
So we like to think that everybody is doing this, that everybody that's doing this work for Canine Companion for Independence, that's a puppy raiser or that's going to graduate with these dogs, are great human beings, and they really need these dogs to be successful in life. And I know you guys do extreme amount of vetting. But when these people do have the dogs, whether it's a graduate or a puppy raiser, how do you make sure that these dogs are getting taken care of? Because there's a lot of money in that are being put into these dogs to do this job, over 50 grand from what I've heard. And it could be even more. But regardless of it, it's pretty expensive to me, 50 grand. So how are you monitoring that process?
So it's a little bit different graduate and obviously puppy raiser,
Right.
but so in regards to the $50,000 you said, that's everything from that's food, that's veterinary care, that's even time. Money is time, right? So that's also our staff time as well. So before the puppies are born, we take that into consideration. So that's where we really hit that number. But the vetting that we do for puppy raisers and even our graduates, there's a process for new puppy raisers where, of course, you fill out the application, you go through a phone interview with someone in our puppy program in our region. And there's also a home visit because we want to make sure, obviously, that the home is safe for the puppy and point out different things in the home for those new puppy raisers, like, oh, you have some loose wires, puppies like to chew on, stuff like that. They're puppies, they get into trouble. And then same with the graduates, we don't do home visits, but there is an application process. There is a phone interview. There is an in-person handling interview as well, where we invite them to the campus for the in-person interview, and then finally we'll approve them, obviously, to be on our graduate wait list, which we hate calling it a wait list. So because it can be, you never know when you get that call. So, and the more puppies we have born, hopefully the shorter that wait time. We also, like mentioned, we keep up with all of our graduates. So every year they have to turn in their vet reports. We make sure they're getting their vaccinations and that the dogs are at a healthy weight, because even though the graduates do have these dogs, they still are canine companions. They still are owned under Canine Companions, so to say. And there are a lot of programs out there for our graduates because we know financially our graduates or clients, they don't always have the financial means and things happen, they come up. So always, reach out to your client services manager at your region because there's different ways that we can help out as well. But the reason we keep up to speed with our graduates, especially with vaccinations, with weight, with medical reports, is because we want these dogs to have the longest working life and retire at 10, 12, 13 years old until, they just can't get up and push the light anymore. And that's fine. They deserve to live that good retired life now. So, and same with our puppies. We want to make sure that they're healthy because we gotta prep them to be a service dog. So that's why we keep up with them as much as we do.
So, Caitlin, you touched on this a little bit earlier on in the interview about dogs not making it for whatever it may be. It may be a medical reason, just maybe it's not the right temperament for that graduating class. It could be. So with that said, is there, what happens to the dogs that don't make it? Can the person that's the puppy raiser, do they get first dibs? Is there a waiting list for other people? How does that all work?
Yeah, so we have our release dog program. So the dogs that just don't make it for one reason or another, whether it's medical or behavioral, like I said, we want to make sure that these dogs are the perfect fit for going to our clients. So when our puppies turn in, when they matriculate into their region, after the puppy raiser raises them until they're like that 15 to 18 months, they go through extensive health checks. They see a cardiologist, they see an ophthalmologist. We want to make sure they are just the healthiest possible that they can be. So if we see something like predisposed hip dysplasia or cataract, something like that, then that would essentially release them from the program because we don't want a dog to retire at 6 years old because they're starting to get arthritis, something like that. behaviors. Sometimes they're released for the resource guarding, which we can't have that, or for keep away. I have a release dog that was released just for that. So he's a great pet dog. But so what happens to them? Puppy raisers do get first right of refusal. You can only have 2 release dogs maximum per household. So I know that sounds crazy, but like you had mentioned, we have puppy raisers that have raised over 20 dogs. It's incredible. And yet not all of them make it. And that's okay, because again, we want to make sure that the dog's the perfect fit. So we have the 2 dog maximum for the release, but there's also, yes, there's a release dog wait list. And typically, I know ours in our region, I believe most regions, they are closed because it's not like a local pet shelter. So our release list is reserved for donors, for folks that are community supporters and longtime volunteer, or maybe it's a puppy raiser that's no longer puppy raising for whatever reason, but they are ready for a release dog. And so it just varies. And like I said, that's going to vary by region if the list is open or closed. But either way, they go on to living that great release dog life and become life of a pet. And depending on what they are released for, we do have our therapy dog program that was recently piloted and now kicking off the ground. So depending on the region that is available, I know in Northwest, and I believe I want to say North Central as well, it's a slow trickle down, but it's something that we've been working very hard, very diligently on to have our own therapy dog program. So those dogs that are released for, say, hip dysplasia and would be appropriate for the program, you can work with your local regional center and possibly getting that program started, as far as getting your dog certified for therapy for canine companions. So the reason we introduced that is just because there's, it's more reason to get our name out there. And we have some really great release dogs, so that are unfortunately released for, like I said, medical or it's simple behavioral, but they have to be appropriate. So if something that someone's curious about with their release dog, again, talk to your region, and that's going to be your program department with the puppy program manager.
Again, Caitlin Bradley here from Canine Companions for Independence. If you want to go to the website, it's canine.org. Again, canine.org. Definitely check it out. So, Caitlin, let's learn a little bit more about you. We did talk a little bit about you in the beginning, very briefly, but to go on about this, doing this job as a volunteer coordinator, what made you want to work for CCI in general? Was this a journey that you thought about for quite a long time? Is it something that you just love the dogs and the mission? What is it about CCI that made you want to come and join the mission here?
Yeah, so I got involved actually back in 2018. I was working at another local nonprofit here in Orlando that actually, it's Give Kids the World, if you're familiar with it. So serving children with life-threatening illnesses. And besides working there, I also volunteered, but I wanted to get involved as a volunteer in the community. I grew up volunteering. It was basically in my blood. My parents really, I hate to say pushed it on me and my siblings, but we all loved it. So I just wanted to get involved somewhere else. So I researched, and I grew up with my golden retrievers and my golden, and I was like, oh, I love dogs. I don't really want to do anything at the animal shelter. And I had just, late night Googling, and I came across Canine Companions, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Oh, it's in Orlando. Oh, so I filled out the volunteer application, and I saw especially special events. So I love to do special events. That's actually what I was doing over at Give Kids the World. So I wanted to get involved specifically with the Dog Fest or with Gala, because that's what I was already doing in my career, but I was like, oh, I can also do this for fun too. So I started out by initially going to a graduation, got sucked in, you know how that goes. And it was a SeaWorld graduation, and met some incredible people, was going to get on the Dog Fest committee, and then saw this opportunity come available for, oh my gosh, what was it? It was in development. I can't remember the title now. I'm drawing complete blank. But so it was basically what I did over at Give Kids World. And I was like, I was so brought into the mission. I'm like, what if I make Canine Companions my career, and then Give Kids the World could now be my volunteer? So yeah, so I just kind of flipped gears, and I mean, it just happened so organically. And so I joined the team in July of 2018, and part of the development team at first, and then a couple months later came into this volunteer coordinator role that was newer to the region. It wasn't in every region just yet, so newer to the region, and I just had so many ideas of where we could take it, and also the need for it, because our volunteer base was growing, and we really needed to focus on the volunteer program, but then also just going a little bit above and beyond and showing our volunteers TLC, because I mean, our mission couldn't exist without our volunteers, and that's everybody from puppy raisers to community supporters. It's everybody. So I really wanted to see this program grow, and there's so many different things coming down the pipeline right now. Like I shared with you, our new volunteer system coming live next week, and we also have a volunteer mentor program coming down the pipeline. We have a volunteer ambassador program coming down the pipeline. There's so many really great things. So I've been really excited in this role in the last year and a half or so, and just connecting with so many volunteers. It's been great. I love our community. I love the passion that people have, and it's absolutely incredible overall. So I love what I do. There's never a dull day. There's never a dull moment. But the community overall, and how I've connected with people in different regions and different coast to coast, it's just really cool, because we all have one common love, and that's for the mission. And so I love it. I love the mission. I love what I do.
I want to end with this, Caitlin. So we do have a lot of, as far as the volunteer roles, and you just spoke about, quite a few things that are coming up right now for Canine Companions for Independence in the Southeast region. With that said, we know there's some really big events coming up soon. I know in October, the gala's coming back. I believe it's the 23rd or 1st.
It's the 23rd of October. Yep.
Okay, I was right the first time. It was the 23rd of October. So again, canine.org, check it out. If you want to do that, it's a great way to help out, and it's a great night out in general. With that said, can you talk, briefly about Dog Fest, what that's about, and also obviously the gala coming up too, and what that's about?
Yeah, excellent. So super excited about our gala. It is, like you said, October 23rd. It's going to be at the Rose and Shingle Creek. Last year it was fully virtual, of course. So we're super, super stoked to have it back in person. So single tickets, sponsorships are available on the website now. And it's going to also be a hybrid event this year, brand new. So you can also join it virtually as well for a smaller fee. But if you're curious about attending in person, it's our biggest fundraiser of the year and the biggest gala in the organization. So super excited, and it's our silver anniversary, our 25th. So it's going to be very exquisite, black tie, silver, and pretty. Also with the Dog Fest, so we kicked off the first 2 Dog Fests of the year in the organization this year. We had our first one in First Coast in Jacksonville, which was basically on the beach. It was amazing, and they reached and exceeded their goal, so super excited for them. And then we also had Dog Fest Orlando, which was right here in Winter Park, and it was an amazing venue. We'll be doing it again there next year. I don't know the date, if we've secured it off the top of my head, but it will be next spring. And then we have 2 more coming down the pipeline. So there is Dog Fest Alabama, which will be on September 11th, and that will be in Birmingham. We definitely need more overall community supporters, and I believe Clemia Ware, who is our community events coordinator and who leads these. She, I believe, is still looking for chair people as well. So we definitely need more volunteer help there. And Birmingham, Alabama. And then there is the Space Coast Dog Fest. So that's going to be over on the East Coast here in Central Florida, Brevard area, and that is September 25th. And again, still, I believe, still looking for some volunteers and overall community supporters and folks to help with that as well. But they're basically what Dog Fest they do is you fundraise months before, you have teams and you make it fun, and then the day of is literally just a celebration. Right. You walk around to the different booths and you can enjoy some food and socializing, and it's always such a good time. And we usually have a band and sometimes beverages as well. So it's always so much fun. This is the first year that Alabama is ever having a dog fest, so we're super excited about that one. And then Space Coast, it's been a few years, so we're excited to bring that one back. So those are our big events that we have left for the rest of the year, which sounds so crazy saying that.
I hear you. The world is just going by right now with after COVID, so it's
very
scary.
We're like halfway to Christmas too. It's the same.
It's strange and scary all at once. The website has changed. There is a new look for Canine Companions. Can you quickly go into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a new look, new logo. So we updated the logo, and it's to just represent the diverse community of people that we serve. And so not all of our clients utilize a wheelchair, and we have clients with hearing loss, PTSD, the cognitive disabilities, and other disabilities. So really, the logo is an updated version that is more inclusive. And then with that, we also updated our brand strategy, and the strategy itself is more than the logo. So it includes our visual identity, messaging, our strategic pillars, and core values overall. So the logo will rarely stand alone, and we'll include the taglines, with it as well, and visual references of independence, because we have essentially shortened our name to Canine Companions. Our legal name, though, still is Canine Companions for Independence, but we've just shortened it to Canine Companions. It's easier to read. It's easier to say.
Yes.
It's shorter, and so many people say CCI, 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 and when you say it fast, it's easy to say, but when you see it fast, it sounds like I, like CCI. So like I, like guide dogs, I. And then honestly, if you're out and you're talking to somebody and you're sharing the mission and you say CCI, or whatever, they might hang on to that and be like, what was the name of it? Okay, I'm going to Google CCI. And what might come up, you're going to find local universities, you'll find an ammunition company, you're going to find other businesses too. So there's an array of things that could come up. So that's why we just shortened it to Canine Companions. But our legal name has not changed, so we're still the same in that. And our mission's the same. Our mission is still the same.
All right, last two audience questions. Yeah. We know that COVID was a big crisis in our country, but all over the world. With that said, obviously, and I go back to even before COVID when they had the wildfires in California. I know that really disrupted the program in California with the breeders. There was a lot of movement of the dogs because of that really extreme wildfire season in California. So, you know what, they asked about COVID, but I'm going to ask you just quickly to talk about, if you could, how, with the wildfire season so bad in California, that, and also how did COVID affect CCI also? So those two huge issues that happened in our country that really affected CCI last year.
It did. So it really impacted our breeding program overall, which when our breeding program's impacted, it's a domino effect, right? So then we're not essentially, breeding is halted. So less puppies are being born, less puppies are getting out. So that's why our puppy wait list, for example, is now a year long. Same with the fires, because we weren't able to move forward with a lot of the breeding. So we're hopeful to get back to it. It's going to be a slow progress, because you know, there's not much you can do with Mother Nature sometimes. So, you know, with that too, how we talked about like when the dogs go into professional training and they're placed with service dogs or facility dogs, they're also there to become breeders potentially as well. So our trainers spend a lot of time and they will, certain dogs are targeted for breeding. So they look for certain behaviors, characteristics, obviously health. And if that dog becomes a breeder, then they fly out to Santa Rosa and they'll live there and be a breeder for X amount of years. So that's basically, that's a career path, if you want to call it that, as well for our dogs. So the more breeders we can have, the more puppies we can push out, basically. But when you have these significant things happen like COVID, the wildfires, that really impacts basically our system and our timeline for things. With those things happening so closely together, basically, that's where we've had that delay with these. So hopefully we'll get back. We are, and we have already seen that movement to getting back to some sort of normalcy. But you know, that really impacted the program greatly. So.
All right, last question, and this is my own personal question as an audience question. How long do CCI dogs usually live? We didn't really get into that. What is like the average?
How long do they live in general, or like working life, or both?
Well, so, both, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So the dogs typically, their retirement's going to vary, but typically they retire anywhere between 10 and 12. That's where you start seeing, you know, the arthritis set in and whatever it might be. They might just slow down a little bit. So that's kind of that retirement threshold is 10 to 12. As far as the lifespan, that's tough. It's crazy because we do have, I know, one of our employees here in the Southeast, she, I believe, had one of the oldest living canine companions dogs, and she was 17 and a half, I believe, almost 18 before she passed away. So, and then, you know, obviously unfortunate things happen where sometimes they're younger. But I don't know the exact threshold, but it's pretty incredible just talking to people, hearing about 13, 14, 15. And for a large breed dog, that's a good age. It's a really good age. So I hear that a lot, just with the dogs in general. And that's why it's important when we send out to any retired dogs or released dogs, when we send out the surveys to those folks. Of course, you don't have to fill them out, but they're just important because they are breeding, they track that, and it's just good data to have and collect.
I will end with that. And Caitlin Bradley, Canine Companions for Independence, canine.org. If you're in the southeast of this country, she is in Orlando, Florida as the volunteer coordinator, but anywhere you are around the country, look at canine.org. You can volunteer, you can donate. There's dog fests all over the country, you know, at all different times of the year. So definitely check those out. And there's ways you can volunteer in general, whether it's a puppy raiser, or if you're a breeder in California, whatever it may be, you can help out in some way. So again, canine.org. Caitlin, I really appreciate all the information you gave to me, myself, but also the viewers. And I hope they really take a lot of the things you said to heart as far as getting involved.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Caitlin, thanks so much.